against them. We're being combative. We're being defensive. No, we're having dialogue. Okay, we are exchanging thoughts. We're finding a common ground. We're growing. Today on Adjusting, we are talking about mind reading, the sneaky cognitive distortion that can sabotage your relationships, your friendships, your family dynamics, your creativity, your work life balance, your peace of mind. All those things. We're talking about that today, and we are going to get to the nitty gritty of it all. We're going to start with addressing it, the how, the what, the why, the where, the when, and then we're going to adjust to this cognitive distortion, reminding ourselves to pause, ask questions, have real conversations, and then we're going to apply these things, okay, so that we can build a healthy, happier future you. By the end of this episode, okay, you'll realize that minding your business will take time away from you trying to read other people's minds. So sit back, relax, grab your journals, and welcome to Adjusting. And we're back with another episode of Adjusting Podcast with your host, Justin G. Nelson. And y'all like my shirt? My friend Jesse made it for me. It's one of the quotes I said on my podcast. One of the quotes I said on my podcast. And it says, "It's okay to be selfish." Thank you, Jesse. I wear this shirt with pride because it is okay to be selfish. And this is my first piece of merch that I've gotten from someone. So thank you. Yeah, great. So today's episode, we are talking about mind reading. Now, this technically was supposed to be last week's episode, but I got the recording order mixed up. So yeah, but have a seat for this one because a lot of y'all like to read minds. Well, you should be minding your business. That's a word. But before we get started, thank you to TJ. TJ's back. Okay, TJ's back. Send some prayers up for TJ because just send some prayers up for TJ. Everything's good. Everything's going to be great. Okay, we're not catastrophizing. We're not doing it. It's going to be great. But send him some good vibes and some good love and go listen to his podcast because he's coming back with a vengeance, says the Lord. And also I have a lot of things in the works, and I'm attesting it to my steadfast faith and consistency and discipline when it comes to owning the space of a multi-hyphenate. This is a rant that was not a part of this anything, but I needed to share it somewhere. So thank you for listening. However, if you are driving, focus on the road. We're going to do our centering breath, and then we're going to dive into this topic. If you are not driving and you can give yourself a minute to just ground yourself and center yourself for this conversation, I invite you to do so now. So if you can plant your feet flat on the ground, relax your ankles, relax your shins, your calf muscles, relax your knees, relax your thighs and your hip flexors, relax your stomach, relax your chest, your shoulders, relax your neck, relax your cheek, your chin, your forehead. Close your eyes. We're going to breathe in for 4, hold for 7, and release for 8. So breathe in, 2, 3, 4, hold it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, out, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Let it all out. And we're going to do one more final cleansing breath, just a deep breath in and out. Breathe in and let it out. Breathe in. Chicken noodle soup. Great. All right, so let's jump in. So we've talked about fortune telling last week. This week, we are talking about mind reading. Okay? By the end of this episode, you're going to mind your own business because that's healthy. Now, what is mind reading? Mind reading, technically, is just a cognitive distortion of where you automatically jump to an assumption of what you think the person is thinking. It's not it's not a complex definition at all. It's simply what it is, mind reading. But how we get to the mind reading anxiety trait of it all, that's what I want to talk about in this first section of addressing the cognitive distortion of mind reading. Okay, so again, you make up a story of what you think the person is thinking. We do this a lot. I know for me, working with people who are master manipulators or very narcissistic or arrogant and full of themselves, sometimes I use the tactic of mind reading to prepare for any type of response because you never know what mood they're in. Okay. And you sometimes plan out, okay, if I present it this way, they're going to say this. But if I present it this way, that's kind of like fortune telling kind of thing. So in the moment when you have the conversation, that's when the mind reading happens. So the core problem of mind reading is that you treat your assumptions as facts. They're not facts. You respond emotionally and behaviorally to something that hasn't happened. This creates real consequences in your life based on imaginary problems. So, for example, you assume your friend is mad at you, so you get defensive or distant, which actually makes them confused. Because who the hell said I was mad? You making stuff up. Why are you in my head? I probably got trapped gas. And you think I'm mad at you? No, I'm trying to figure out what I ate that made my chest hurt for me to be like this. You're doing that thing again. And it sucks because we automatically jump to the defense and we sabotage a lot of good opportunities and a lot of good friendships and a lot of good spaces because of things that have happened in the past. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about how this pattern was developed. It's not random, and a lot of people actually have this one. So, people with anxiety disorders, if you live with generalized anxiety, social anxiety, or panic disorder, me in high school, your brain is already in a threat detection mode. We talked about hypervigilant people last week. Same in this episode. You're hypervigilant, you're scanning for danger. Remember, the bushes are moving. It's a line. It's the same as I had a typo in email. Like your body doesn't know the difference. Mind reading becomes a way your anxiety expresses itself, filling in unknowns with worst case scenarios. If you are a survivor of childhood trauma, mind reading is a big thing that pops up. So if you grew up in an unsafe, unpredictable, catastrophic, you were moving a lot, there was some emotional, physical abuse, like those things. Again, I'm sorry you experienced that. And this goes with that. You had to become an expert in reading the room to survive. That's a lot for a child to have to deal with on top of being a child. Like we lose so much of the curiosity of childhood with when things like anxiety comes into the space that's supposed to be home, and we're not able to be a child and explore things, make mistakes, because we have to read the mind of others just to feel like, are we in danger? um and then people with insecure attachment styles. Now we talked about attachment styles with the secure, um dependent, and what's the anxious attachment, avoidant attachment, like those things. Okay, great. So people with insecure attachment styles, particularly anxious attachment or disorganized attachment, if your early caregivers were inconsistent, dismissive, or frightening, you might have the mind reading cognitive distortion. You learn that people's feelings and availability are unpredictable. You constantly trying to read people. to know if they're going to be safe or leave or hurt or love you. That pops up in relationships too. Because a lot of people are quick to say, well, they didn't have both parents in their homes. Okay, some people that have both parents in their homes are the main ones just a little effed up in the head, okay, because they saw the things happening. So we gotta end this stigma of a two-parent household. Because some people with two parents in the household, one of the parents ain't always there. Okay, great. And so highly sensitive people and empaths, like these people suffer, or not, I don't say suffer, live with the mind reading cognitive distortion as well if you naturally pick up on other people's energies and reactions. Okay. And you might confuse your sensitivity with mind reading. You feel something in the room and assume you know what it means. A lot of people just like this whole trend of the energy is off or the vibe is up. You sure? Maybe it's you. Maybe sometimes when you come into the room, the energy shifts and it's not always good. Yeah, think about that. And then the last group of people, the people pleasers. Okay, we always pop up somewhere. I'm a recovering people pleaser. And if your worth was tied to making others happy or avoiding disappointing them, you suffer or you live with mind reading. You learn to constantly monitor others' reactions to adjust your behavior. hmm Mind reading becomes a tool for trying to control others' perceptions of you. Now, when and how it shows up in relationships. Partner is quiet. You assume they're pulling away from me, they're cheating, I'm not doing something they like, I fucked up the dinner. Like it's something happened. You're reading their mind. Your friend didn't text you back. They hate me. They're in another group chat talking about me. Okay, they're asleep. They fell asleep. Your friend suffers from sleeping disorder. Okay, they fell asleep. Or someone doesn't laugh at your joke. They think I'm corny. They didn't hear you. Okay, so let's be honest. They did not hear what you said. Your accent is thick. Or in work and creative settings, your boss sends a short emails, I'm getting fired. They were in a rush and they just wanted to respond so they can keep the ball rolling. Okay? Casting directors looks down during your audition. They're checking your resume. Okay, they're trying to see what other roles you've done. Not you sound bad, you look bad. Okay, because I've been there too. Your colleague doesn't respond to your idea. They're ruminating. They are trying to see what else they can add to your creative idea to help it succeed, to be better, to take it to the next level. We're not going to focus on the negative here, okay? In daily interactions, someone seems distracted. I ain't got enough of that one, okay? Because if we having a conversation and you're not giving me your undivided, divided, multiplied, and additional attention, I'm taking it personal. What do you mean you're not listening to me? I need all your attention. So I'm offended. Your barista is short with you. Okay, baristas, people in customer service, Burger King, who's that? McDonald's CEO. Listen, okay, we just got to do better in customer. I work in customer service, okay, and I deal with some people, some really nice patrons who I love because I love my job. If you're listening to this podcast, but someone, the barista, or I'm short with you, they're judging me. I've had a long day. Okay, more than likely, somebody before you pissed me off. Or I had this one lady who, when I worked at Tina, I can talk about this. So I was working at the Tina Turner music on Broadway. This was pre-pandemic. And we used to sell these god-awful gray shirts. They were 2 sizes too small. And the demographic of people who came to Tina, Black women, and they love to wear tight shirts because their body looked good, but the shirts didn't fit their body. These shirts were designed for white women. And I would say, hi, welcome to Tina. Hi, yeah, I want that shirt back there with the bling. And I was like, okay, you want the glitter t-shirt? Yeah, I want the shirt with the bling. Okay, great. What size would you like? What size do I look like? I want to keep my job. That's what size you look like, okay? So she said, I want a large. So I pulled out a 2X because the shirt fits two sizes. So why you giving me a 2X? Ma'am, hold the shirt up. Oh, this is small. Okay, I'll take that. You were right. I'm gonna listen to you. You're welcome. But anyway, all it's to say, give people grace. And then someone doesn't smile, they don't like me, they didn't brush their teeth. It's not personal. Great. So again, all these things show up. These are examples of when we automatically switch to the mind reading of it all. Now, how this pattern develops. This is like the neuroscience, technical things, the trauma connection, okay? Early childhood. Sometimes it shifts in your like your middle school, high school, like those age groups of it all. But the programming, childhood, yeah. So children's brains are wired to attune to caregivers. Okay, it's survival. And then you have babies and toddlers. They need to read caregivers' emotional states to know if they're safe. If the environment is chaotic, your pathways are chaotic. Okay, in healthy development, this balance is secure attachment. Kumbaya. In traumatic environments, baby, that's hypervigilance, okay? And then the nervous system gets stuck if you grew up having to monitor your caregiver's mood because maybe they dealt with like bipolar things or they were. I talked about the book I read, Break the Cycle. It talks about how generational trauma trickles down. And sometimes it skips a generation. Sometimes it's technically not like mom, dad, son, so and so. It could be your uncle. Okay. It can be your auntie. Like, and you picked up on some stuff from them. So it's the parents' job to foster this safe environment. But sometimes it's the church job too. Now I'm gonna get churchy for a minute, okay? Sometimes the churches don't do their job to instill this safe, secure attachment in the spiritual space, because people preach a certain doctrine of ABC, but they never get to finish the alphabet, and sometimes the kids need all 26 letters to make it make sense. But if you only preach, he got up, he died, they need to know everything in between. Because when they get it from other places, okay, and then they start to fill in the gaps and stuff, there is this disconnect, then they don't trust you. It'll make sense in the end. Great. So, specific trauma origins, unpredictable caregivers. Okay, that's one. Emotional parentification, being punished for things you don't understand. The Bible. I say that because, again, I questioned everything as a child. Okay, and if I spoke up about something, especially in church, and I didn't get a response, it made me think they thought I was stupid. I was challenging them. I was converting from Baptist to atheist. Like that's a bit extreme. But they didn't, certain people didn't like to be questioned, especially by a child. Look at me now. Anyway, but yeah, being punished for things you didn't understand. Y'all gotta have more conversations. Like someone talked about this. People have gotten away from real conversations. They automatically think when someone is pushing against them, we're being combative, we're being defensive. No, we're having dialogue. Okay, we are exchanging thoughts. We're finding a common ground. We're growing. Like my friend JT's book says, bitch, you're not stuck, you're evolving. Okay, evolution happens when conversations take place. You're welcome. Conditional love and walking on eggshells. Eggs are too expensive to be walking around on them. All right? Have the conversations. Make the safe space safe again. It starts in the home. And gaslighting and invalidation. These are how and the ways that mind reading starts. Okay. We're still addressing this thing. I want this to make sense by the end of this episode. And then I put more on Substack. I need to update the Substack. I'm a little behind on that. But there's a section about the anxiety mind reading loop. So there's this intolerance of uncertainty. Anxiety hates not knowing. Okay. So when you can't know what someone's thinking, your brain creates a story to fill in that space, that gap. The story is always negative because anxiety's job is to prepare you for threat. Mind reading gives you false sense of control. If I can predict the worst, I can brace for it. Okay, and then there's the confirmation bias cycle and a cortisol connection. That'll be on Substack. Section 2, adjusting. So how do we adjust to this mind reading cognitive distortion? Notice the pattern. Everything's a pattern. You have to notice in order to break the cycle, you have to notice the pattern in order to stop it. All right. So here's where we start to shift. You can't change a pattern you don't see. The first step is just catching yourself in the act. Okay. Just like fortune telling, we're gonna pause. We're gonna say, I'm doing that thing again, or I try to read their mind. We're gonna mind our business. And I promise you, once you start paying attention, you're going to be shocked at how often you do this. So the pause practice again. Next time you have a thought like they're mad at me or they think they don't think anything. Okay. Don't put yourself too high on a pedestal to think that every thought is about you. Before you spiral or react, just notice, I'm doing that thing again. Do it. I'm doing that thing again. Ask yourself, do I actually know this is true? Or am I assuming? You're probably assuming. That's it. Just awareness. Just making yourself aware. You don't have to say, hey, I'm doing that thing again. Just make yourself aware. And you don't have to fix it yet. Okay? How this shows up in your body. So you'll know when you're doing that thing. Your body often knows your mind reading before your conscious mind does. So let's get specific how that feels. It's that alert feeling. So when you start mind reading, your body goes into threat mode. Remember the 4 F's: fight, flight, fawn, or freeze. Okay? It's like the alarm is going off. Danger, danger. Someone's upset. I've triggered someone. Oh shit, oh shit. You might feel the heart rate picking up, sweating, stomach ache, shoulders. Some people start itching and like right there in their little crease, right there. Or you get a sudden urge to like apologize, or you fidget and start stuttering. You try to over explain stuff just to like get them to rush to a point. All those are signs that your body is going into that mind reading phase right now. But the next time you feel that alert, anxious body sensation, just stop and check in. Ask yourself, am I responding to something real or am I responding to what I think someone's thinking? Put your hand on your heart, your belly, your head, just touch, physical touch, and just calm down, okay? How can we connect to our younger self, though? Because this principle I'm trying to build for my doctoral program is the whole you pyramid, okay? So you have your younger self, your current you, and your future self, okay? So bring back the curiosity. This is tender, but it's important. Your mind reading habit isn't random. It came from somewhere. Again, in order to stop a pattern, we have to address the start of it. So ask yourself, when did I first learn that I needed to monitor other people's moods to be safe? Was there someone in my life whose emotional state dictated my safety or worth? Did I have to become a detective, reading faces and tones and body language in order to know if I was in trouble? And last thing, was I blamed for things that weren't actually my fault? Now, if you grew up in a black home, sometimes we were blamed for stuff that wasn't our fault. So our siblings didn't get punished, but that's different. That's different. But here's the reframe. We love a reframe, okay? The younger version of you who learned to mind read, they were brilliant. They were creative, okay? They came up with some horrible scenarios, but now they know how to flip the script, okay? They were doing what they needed to survive, reading the room, anticipating, trying to stay ahead of danger. That was adaptive, all right? Mm, on their feet, okay? But here's what you get to tell yourself now. I don't live in that house anymore, okay? I don't need to monitor everyone's thoughts to be safe. You're not broken, okay? You're healing from having to do that in the first place. Pat yourself on the back. Great. I will add more of the exercises and things on Substack because it's a lot of different things you can do to check in. And I really want y'all to go to Substack too. So let's jump to the third section, which talks about applying. So we're going to build our future use toolkit so that we can mind our own business and not read someone else's mind. Okay. So what you can shift: direct communication. Okay. So ask clarifying questions instead of making assumptions. Reality testing habit. Check your interpretations against actual evidence. Nervous system regulation. Learn to soothe the anxiety that drives mind reading. Self compassion work. I'm not a mind reader. I don't need to be. I got too many other things on my mind dealing with myself. You really don't got time to read other people's minds. Okay? So stop it. And then trust building, both in yourself and in the idea that people can communicate if something's wrong. Now, their lack of communication, not your problem. Okay? If you are a mature, healthy, healing adult, you should know how to have a damn conversation. You should know how to communicate your feelings. You should know how to speak your truth. Or maybe I am setting the bar too high with people's expectations. Okay? Mental health is something serious. And again, that's why I started this podcast. That is why I am highly sarcastic, because I have to dampen some of my responses to people and things. Because if I said it blatantly, listen. Anyway, so how can we apply these things across life areas? In relationships, have a seat. Come on. When you catch yourself thinking they're upset with me, pause and ask, hey, I'm sensing something's off, something's not the same. Everything okay? Are we good? What's on your mind? You're not mind reading. Okay? You're opening up the conversation to have a conversation. You open up the space to say, what's on your mind? Like, let's talk. If it's about me, sure, cool. Let's talk about it. If something else, how can I help you? Great. So practice tolerating not knowing what someone's thinking. It's actually okay to not have constant access to everyone's internal world. Because some people be thinking about some stuff you do not want to know about at all. Yeah. Let people tell you what they're thinking instead of deciding for them. Build the muscle of, if something's wrong, they'll tell me, instead of I need to figure it out before they say something. Give people the opportunity to invite you in instead of you kicking the door down. In creative space, stop trying to perform for an imaginary critical audience you created in your head. When you share your work, notice the mind reading of they hate it and challenge it with, I don't actually know what they think unless they tell me. I, mm-hmm, I, I deal with that a lot with clients. Oftentimes, I will go into mind reading if I don't get feedback from something. And I know how people say um, no news is good news, or no response is good. Sometimes creative, we need some feedback. A great job is good. Okay, I like this. It's great. Okay, but silence? No, make some noise. Say something. Let me know. But Practice asking for specific feedback instead of interpreting silence or facial expressions. Remind yourself people's reactions are about them, their taste, and their day, not a judgment of my worth. At work, when you get an ambiguous email or message, respond to what was actually said, not what you assume it means. I work in my church, working for a pastor who is a Capricorn, who is a man of little to no words, is frustrating. And I have told him that, I said, sir, I'm going to need something more than good to go. You got it. Great. Love it. Like it. Cool. I'm going to need a little more. As a Cancer, a creative Cancer. Oh, I need this looks, what looked good about it? Okay. Give me some more. But if you're worried about something, is my boss unhappy with me? Schedule a check-in and just ask. I text him and say, hey, you good? I'm just busy. Sure. Okay, whatever. And then in daily life, when you're in social situations, notice when you start mind reading. Everyone thinks I'm awkward. You probably got tissue on the bottom of your shoe. But reality test, do I actually have evidence for this, or is this my anxiety talking? Practice staying present instead of living in your head trying to read the room. Remind yourself, I can't control what people think. I can only control how I show up and put this shit on and go out and look good and then own the room and everyone's like, ooh, bam, life of the party, right? Yeah. So when it's hard, the discomfort is normal. It's going to feel very, very vulnerable to ask instead of assume. It's going to be uncomfortable to ask for clarification or just to do a follow-up because you're so used to having this weight of mind reading. But like, no one asked you to carry that. No one asked you to do that. And I get it. We had to figure out a survival method, but you can let the cape off a little bit, okay? Like, put it on your arm and carry it. Make it a accessory, not a shield. It's going to feel scary to not know what people are thinking. Your brain is used to the false sense of control that mind reading gives you. Letting go means sitting with uncertainty, and that is uncomfortable. Go slow, okay? You don't have to challenge every mind reading thought. Okay? Sometimes perception is reality. And you might be right. I don't know, but go slow. Get support and do some self-compassion, okay? You're not being paranoid or dramatic. You're responding to old wounds. Be gentle with yourself. When you catch yourself mind reading, it's not about never doing it, but it's about noticing it and choosing differently when you can. Every time you pause and check reality, you're doing the work, okay? So, to end, remind yourself you're not a psychic, okay? You cannot read minds, and that is a good thing. Because the thoughts you're assuming to other people are usually just your own fears and wounds projected outward. When you stop trying to be a mind reader and start asking and listening and trusting that people can use their words, everything changes. Give yourself grace as you unpack this mind reading persona you've put on and learn to mind your business. That's how minding your business will bring you so much joy because you don't have time to mind others. You don't have time to read other people's minds. Okay. So here's the challenge this week. Catch yourself mind reading just once. That's it. Okay. Notice it, pause, ask the person some clarifying questions. Okay. If you care about that person's thoughts or feelings. And then just show up for yourself this week. Just once. Do the work. You got this, and I'll see you next week. Until next time, keep adjusting. Bye-bye. Thanks for tuning in to this week's episode. I hope you take something away to help you make the adjustments you need. Before you go, please take a quick second to share this with someone you care about. And if you can, please leave a 5-star rating and review on whatever platform you're listening to this on. For more information about adjusting or to inquire about being a guest, head over to adjustingpod.com. Until next time.